Hey everybody, welcome. It is Thursday night. It is not 8 o'clock, it's a little after, but that's because we had to push everything back again tonight. So glad that you are with us on this again special time tonight. I don't like to do this to everybody because I know people kind of plan on us being on at 8, and this can mess up the rest of the night. But here's what happened. A lot of you already know this. My wife and I have a DJ company as well, and we have a wedding reception that we're doing this weekend. And the couple they live in Texas, and they're both from up here, and so they didn't get into um, to town until this morning, and they couldn't meet with us before tonight. So we thought we could get through it in enough time, and we barely had enough time. I think it was 8:26 when they were walking out the door, and I got in here and got my computer fired up. So I know the links went out a little bit later than they should have as well, but those are out. A few people are getting links now, and we've got Pat here, and we've got Defense Dad here. It's all good. We're here. You're here, and I'm glad to see you. But because of timing and everything, I don't have Sandhills Sweetheart in here with me. She had stuff that she's got to get done yet tonight, so she's not in here with us. So, Patriot in the Dark, you can sure tell her how much you miss her. But she's listening, but she just doesn't have much time to chat and stuff. So if she comments, it's because she's out there in the kitchen doing some stuff, getting ready for tomorrow. And she had a chance and clean fingers that she could leave a comment on her phone there. So, all right. First and foremost, let's say hi to everybody. Defense Dad, how are you?
I'm here. I'm good. How about you?
Doing all right. I mean, frazzled. Didn't think I was going to get in here and even get the 8:30 thing going. We were a couple minutes late, but we got it going. So here we
I'm
are.
glad you did, because I was trying to figure out how the hell to run this thing.
I should probably show that to you sometime so you could do this in case I'm not here.
Probably.
But it worked out. So anyway, Pat's in here too, coming to us from the bunker. How are you, Pat?
Oh, not too bad. Hopefully I'm coming in good. I am mobile right at the moment. So hopefully I'm 5x5.
Oh no, you sound awesome.
Yep.
All right, awesome. No, I'm doing good. Just running around doing nightly chores, checking on pivots, feeding bucket calves, and so yeah, I'm actually out of the bunker tonight. So
Good deal. So if anybody can find Pat right now and can back trail him to the bunker, we'd know where it was. Just
exactly.
saying, if anybody's in the area, if you got a drone up, this would be the time.
Ain't happening. I'm sneaky.
Yeah, I kind of figured. All right. I don't know who else is going to be joining us. I did send a link out to the usual suspects. I tell you what, if you're out there in the comments and you didn't get a link and you want one, let us know, and we'll get a link out to you, because this is just kind of just a free for all chat tonight. So I didn't have a good topic that I could come up with, and I thought you guys said you kind of like it when we don't have as much structure. So we're going to do that again. Just kind of hang out and visit and field questions and comments from the peanut gallery out there in the live chat. So that being said, if you are out there watching us live, we would love it if you would drop those comments, questions, what have you. Let us know that you're out there. If you're new, we'd like to know where you're watching from too, because that is kind of cool. We like to know where all the viewers are. And I tell you what, if you're watching this on a replay, go ahead and drop a comment down below and let us know where you are, where you're watching from, and go ahead and comment, even if it's not live. But if you watch this live, that's the best, because then we get to interact with you, especially nights like this where we kind of let you guys run the show. So all right, let's see. Rich never gets a link unless it's the day he can't be on. Did you get one, Rich? We'll get one to you. Let's do this. I'll send it right to you. I'm not even going to put a subject in there. I'm just going to paste the link and send it. Hop in here. All right. So that being said, let's see. Who do we have out there so far in the chat? We've got Kingpin. G-Webs is out there. Mike's out there. Defense Dad, panicking, thinking he was going to have to run this thing himself. So good thing I got here when I did. One of these times I might just not show up and just see how you do. It'll be like on Finding
Like a
Nemo.
free for all.
It'll be like, let's see how Squirt handles it on his own. I might just call you Squirt from now on.
I'll just invite the regulars and turn it into Foul Territory Thursday edition.
There you go. There you
We'll
go.
get Gary on.
Irish Wristwatchers out there. Patriot in the Dark. Of course, my beautiful bride is out there. PNW Woods is out there. Rich White out there and now in here. Keith Gregory, Gizzard Gary, Jamie Brown's in the house. All right. So, drop those comments. Let us know you're out there. If you're watching over on the Facebook side, drop comments over there too, because we don't get to see any of you. So, real quick, before we commence the discussion, I do want to say a couple different things, and then we'll say hi to Rich. I did have this banner up a little bit ago, but just again, the views and opinions expressed on this podcast belong to the individual expressing them and do not reflect the views of any of our sponsors. We're not offering any legal or medical advice because we're not doctors, we're not lawyers. And if you take our advice, take it at your own risk. How about that? So everybody gets to speak their own opinion. And take it for what it's worth. Also, we are a proud member of Self-Defense Radio Network, so go check that out, sdrn.us. All kinds of cool freedom and 2A related podcasts over there. And then last but not least, we are able to go live on multiple platforms because we have sponsors. So tonight's show is brought to you by Decoding Firearms, an easy-to-read guide on general gun safety and use. Decoding Firearms is a comprehensive guide to aid new shooters and veterans alike to get up to speed on the safe use of guns. With over 115 illustrations and 266 pages of content, this book is very comprehensive. If you're interested in learning more about Decoding Firearms, you can visit johnpetrolino.com. Decoding Firearms is available for sale on Amazon as a paperback or a full-color Kindle version. Be sure to pick up a few copies for your friends and family members that want to get into the shooting world. Decoding Firearms, get yours today. It looks like this. That's it. That's the book right there. That's the one. You can see it all night up in the corner beside Defense Dad's lovely face. I don't know if it's lovely, but it is a face. Right there. That's the one. Okay. So I think that's all the stuff that I need to put out there up on the screen. We will keep the watching for comments here as we go. Rich, how are you?
Hey, how's it going? And I just want to add for the record, I'm halfway to being a lawyer. I have my bachelor's in criminal justice, and I have taken a couple of law classes.
Awesome. Halfway to be a lawyer. So you're half. Does that mean you're halfway legal? You're half legal?
Yeah, something like that, I guess.
All right.
I have taken at least one constitutional law license. One constitutional law class and 2 criminal law classes. So.
Cool. All right. Very cool. Very, very cool. So is that the ultimate goal, to become an attorney at law, or no?
No, because it's too much work.
So, Rich, is just enough to be dangerous then, correct?
Yeah, basically. It was a struggle to finish my bachelor's, let alone go on for my master's. And with my vision right now, it makes it even worse. I can't even imagine me sitting down and trying to read a law book right now.
I tell you what, if you guys are looking for not to take a whole constitutional law class, but you just want to learn a little bit more about the Constitution and what stuff means, pick up this book. See if I can get it out of the glare. Catechism of the Constitution. It's from Wall Builders. You can go to, I think it's just wallbuilders.com. I'm going to have to find that out for sure. But it's just a tiny little book, quick little read, but it just kind of goes through and helps explain a little bit better what the reasoning was that some of this stuff got put into the document. So very, very cool.
Yeah, another book that can go hand in hand with that, it's by a gentleman named James Best, excuse me. It's
Roscoe P. Coltrane?
No, it's not Roscoe P. Coltrane.
Oh, different James Best.
But it's called Tempest at Dawn. It's a novelization, but he he had to make some composite characters for, to condense it all into a book. But it's a novelization of when the Constitution was written and the events that happened. It's a very good book. We had to read it and do a book report on it when I was in college. It's a very good book. Yeah, I highly suggest it for anybody who's interested in the founding of the country and specifically the Constitutional Convention.
Very cool. Also, just specifically, these guys aren't sponsors. They don't know who I am, but I tell you what, if anybody knows these guys over at Wall Builders, it's David and Tim Barton, father and son, kind of started this up. This is a great little book. The Second Amendment, preserving the inalienable right of individual self-protection. And it's just a tiny little book, but it just kind of goes through all about the Second Amendment. But again, you can get that Wall Builders. Will it focus? Wallbuilders.com. So go check out their page. They've got all kinds of cool stuff. Great books on there, and well worth the money, and a good business to support, because these guys get it. They understand why we have the rights that we have, what the founding fathers intended, why they gave them to us or didn't give us, why they didn't give the rights to us, but why they gave us a document that says that our rights can't be taken away. And if you understand some of that stuff, you understand better the perversion that is happening left and right these days, of not just people willingly giving up their rights, but people who have their rights taken away and don't even know that they lost something because they didn't realize they had it. So all kinds of fun stuff.
Yeah, and that one you just held up, the one by David Barton on the Second Amendment, I actually used that in a source in one of my reports I had to write.
Awesome.
On
I've got this one too, and I haven't gotten to it yet, but I really can't wait to get into this one. Just the American Story, also by David and Tim Barton. Yeah, it's all about just kind of how the nation was founded.
David Barton is a national treasure. He was a guest speaker in one of my history classes as well.
Very cool. So yeah, I actually found out about these guys from an episode of the Chad Prather Show, actually. Which is David the father or the son?
David's the father.
Okay, so Tim was the one that was on with Chad Prather here several months ago now, and I saw those books, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I got all three of these books, and it was like under $50 shipped for all that stuff, so kind of had to do it. All right, Defense Dad says all I have is science fiction books. Well, we can fix that. I mean, I know some places that you can get good stuff, so. But I tell you what, anything that comes out of wallbuilders.com, and that is their website, wallbuilders.com, go check that out. I should probably put that in the comments. How about that?
Well, there you go.
Yeah, and I threw out there in the YouTube chat the Amazon link to the book I was talking about. You can find it cheaper elsewhere, but that'll give people an idea what it looks like if they want to go to their local bookstore or whatever and look for it.
There you go. If you're watching this live on any of the platforms, that comment is now out there with their web address to wallbuilders.com. Go check it out. You don't have to tell them I sent you, because again, they don't know me, they don't know who I am. But if anybody knows how to get word to them and they would like to sponsor the best show that nobody's watching, then absolutely, I would talk to them and work something out. That'd be cool.
Hey man, there's 11 people watching.
12.
Oh,
12.
Okay.
And one Facebook like, so that's cool. Hey, Charlie liked us on Facebook. It tells me how many people are watching on
It says
YouTube
it right.
and how many are watching on Facebook, but it doesn't tell me who they are.
Right there, I can see it now.
Yeah, right there. So yeah, it's kind of cool. You get to see all kinds of cool stuff when you get admin powers here in one of these things. Maybe sometime we'll just go through and have a night where I screen share this and kind of show people behind the curtain. But for now, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. So, all right. So I don't have anything prepared. There is, of course, it's not so much a white elephant. You guys know that I say this all the time. I don't like to talk about current events. The last 2 weeks we did, because there's been some current stuff that is kind of, it's if we talk about it in general senses, things are bigger than that single event, and they kind of have ripples into, I think, the future too. So the same thing happened today. So for those of you watching on replay or catching this on podcast form, which does come out a week later, today is June 23rd, 2022. And this is the day that a bunch of us have been waiting for. We knew this was coming. We knew it had to be coming here today or Monday. They did finally drop the opinion on New York State Rifle and Pistol Association Inc. versus Bruen from Supreme Court. And of course, it went exactly the way we all hoped it would. And I think from the little bit that I've been able to glean, I was at work all day and doing stuff all evening, so I haven't had a lot of downtime to get into much. I've been able to listen to a few different shows talking about it in the vehicle driving back and forth to work and from work and stuff like that, and that's been it. But it sounds like it kind of went the best possible way that it could, the best case scenario for those of us who value our rights to keep and bear arms, not just the keep, but also the bear part of it. So let's just throw that one out because I know people want to bring it up. So let's talk about it real quick, and then we can move on to some other stuff. But I've not had a chance to read the opinion. I have not had a chance to read the dissent. If I remember right, that's about 1,000 pages worth of stuff, or several hundred pages worth of stuff anyway. But basically, I know that they did rule that strict scrutiny must be used when it comes to the Second Amendment and all laws that pertain to it. So no more intermediate scrutiny or whatever that basic one was. For those of you that missed it, last Saturday, which was the 18th? Saturday, the 18th of June. If you go to the Polite Society podcast, YouTube or Facebook pages and see the Saturday edition of the Bullet, I was on there along with a couple other fellows, but one of them was Alex Uli, who's an attorney. And he went through and explained the differences between the levels of scrutiny that courts can apply. And so we wanted them to apply strict scrutiny and require that in Second Amendment cases. And that's what, the way I understand, that's what the opinion said, is that that's what has to be used. And they also, again, I haven't read it, but some of the commentary I've picked up, Justice Thomas kind of unleashed.
Oh, yes, he did.
Back.
Yeah, I read the entire opinion earlier today, and
okay.
He tore into the anti-gun crowd in his decision.
Good.
He destroyed every single historical argument they tried making. And
Good.
The most important sentence basically reads that just cause to get a permit is unconstitutional. Period. End of discussion. And
right.
Before he started breaking it down by their historical arguments, when he went just through the primary decision, that was the last sentence, which means that any one of these states that uses a just cause to issue a permit, be it California, Maryland, or New York, any of those other states, this pretty much is going to strike down every single one of those statutes.
That's awesome. Now, I did see earlier today because I had posted a link to the SCOTUS blog article or whatever you want to call it page. And I did see that Calaveras had commented on that California is going to try and end around. They've already got a bill in place that will try to be an end around. So we'll see how that works. We'll see if they get away with it. Of course, it's going to take more time. If the California legislature passes that, then somebody has to take them to court. Then we have to go through all the appeals process and run it up the chain and see if SCOTUS will even hear that one again. So, again, if they do find a way or they think they found a loophole, it's going to take a while to get it removed. But the precedent's there.
Yeah, Thomas didn't leave much room for loophole. He dotted every I and crossed every T.
And I wish Calaveras was here to explain it a little bit better, because I don't know for sure. I haven't had a chance to research what California has. So Calaveras, if you're out there listening and you've got a minute, pop in, or at some point, if you do hear this, Pickle, then go ahead and just enlighten me. Send me a message. Krabby Turtle's out there, who I have not seen yet. But that does indeed look like a Krabby Turtle.
That's MKJO. He changed his name.
Yep.
MKJO is now Krabby Turtle.
Yes.
That's so much better name, and nobody gets this one wrong. And I love the picture.
He combined two aspects of Maryland. They're famous for their crab and the mascot for the Terrapins, Maryland Terrapins.
Cool, very cool. All right, well, happy in Maryland. Shall issue is upon us. Yeah. So, how does that work? Because Maryland's not the state that was named in the court opinion. It is unconstitutional to require just cause. So is that immediate? Is that going to affect now?
It should. As soon as the Supreme Court makes their rulings, it usually right then and there becomes case law.
Basically, what I heard a couple of the talking heads today say is it should be, but we have to wait until the first time somebody's denied to take it to court to find out. So we'll see, but those states all better know what's going on. So very cool. DJ Play Nice is out there in the house.
Yeah, it's like 6 states in the District of Columbia that didn't allow permits at this point.
Yeah, what was it? It was California, Connecticut, Delaware,
Maryland,
Massachusetts,
Hawaii,
New York,
and District of Columbia,
New Jersey.
Mm-hmm. Well, Delaware has a permit, but I don't know. I think their may issue. But the weird thing about Delaware is they recognize our permit here in West Virginia.
Yeah. Well, states are funny about the permits they recognize, though. I mean, there's not a hard and fast rule that each state goes by, or every state goes by.
I know. I know. It's crazy. Yeah, so, if Illinois, for you to be an elder state, you have to be from a state that they put on their registry.
Yeah. And
you got to have laws similar to theirs, but yet they have Virginia as one of their accepted one. And Virginia's carry laws are nothing like Chicago. I was going to say Chicago, but Illinois.
For Nebraska, to have your state's permit recognized in Nebraska, basically the requirements to get your permit have to be as strict or stricter than ours.
Yeah.
So, like South Dakota, for instance, has a couple different levels of permit. Of course, they're permitless carry now too, but they have before they went permitless carry, they had 2 or 3 different levels of permit, and only the top one, the enhanced, was the one that required a background check, was only available to people 21 or older. And so that was the only one that the Nebraska AG recognizes. And the Attorney General is who sets the criteria for reciprocity. Every state has their own set of rules as to which permits they recognize. And of course, some states choose not to recognize any, and they up until now have even chosen not to recognize their own citizens' rights to carry within the state. So,
yeah, what's interesting, West Virginia, before we got constitutional carry, now anybody who's 21 or older, no matter what, can carry. Before that, reciprocity, if you wanted West Virginia to recognize your permit, you had to recognize ours first.
Yeah.
So every state that recognized West Virginia was recognized in turn. Yeah, that was the only
DJ's out there fielding some cool law stuff for us. So strict scrutiny is a standard judicial review that requires the government prove that the means chosen to achieve a compelling governmental objective is narrowly designed to avoid violation of the right to equal protection under the laws. So strict scrutiny, let me see if I get this right, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but strict scrutiny says that a citizen does not have to prove a need to exercise a right. Strict scrutiny says the government has to prove a need to take it away from somebody.
Right.
So, for instance, you have been convicted of a felony. So, yes, there is cause to take away some of your rights then. So,
Yeah. And that was the crux of Thomas's argument
right.
in shutting down the New York's law in this case.
Right, and unless you've done something that causes you to lose your rights as a consequence of the action, then you don't lose your rights. And a right that's not available universally to everybody is not a right. Then it becomes a privilege.
Right.
So,
Let me chime in here for just a second, and I'll ask Rich. It's the burden of proof on the state, not the subject at hand, correct?
Correct. And that brings up an interesting point, because also in Thomas's decision, not only did he say that it violates the Second Amendment rights of the people of New York City, it also violates their 14th Amendment right to due process.
Yes, it does. And that's really going to come into play, I think, if some sort of red flag legislation does get passed in Congress. Of course, if it does, it'll get signed by the boob in chief. But I'm just curious now how far-reaching this decision will be into some of these other things, because a red flag law does not give you due process. You lose your rights before you go through the process, not after, and that's not due process.
No, that is absolutely not due process.
So,
due process, it means that you have to go before a judge and be adjudicated for whatever they're charging you with, whether it be domestic violence, mental incompetence, committing a felony.
Part of due process is the right to face your accuser,
right.
Which red flag laws, as written, most don't give you that option. There's a hearing that you're not invited to. That's not due process, and then you lose your property without being charged with any crime, and therefore, because it's not a criminal trial, if you choose to try to get it back, you have to hire a lawyer out of your own pocket. You can't use a public defender because you're not being charged with anything criminally.
Mm-hmm.
So I've committed no crime, therefore I don't have any rights to a public defender. If I've committed no crime, then why is my stuff gone, and why do I have to appeal to get it back?
Oh yeah. Oh, did you see where in this law that they have proposed in Congress under the red flaw thing? I call them red
that's
flaws.
A great way to say red flaw.
No, actually, that's perfect, Rich. That's red flaw.
That's what they are, red flaws.
They stipulate that public defender money cannot be used to fight those.
Right. Well, they already usually can't, because public defenders are only available to people who are facing criminal charges. You don't get a public defender in a civil case either.
You can get a public defender for a mental competence case, and that's one of the things that they're trying to get these red flag laws for. Right. Is your mental competence. Mental competence you can use legal aid for.
All right, cool. So real quick, I do want to go through these other things that DJ was nice enough to write out for us. So intermediate scrutiny is the next level down from strict. Requires the governmental body to prove its actions are necessary to further an important government interest, and that the means chosen to achieve that interest are narrowly tailored. Narrow tailoring is not a requirement to use the least restrictive of all means available, but that the means are a close fit to the objective. And then minimum scrutiny under equal protection is the use of a classification rationally related to a legitimate governmental objective. Minimum scrutiny under due process are the means employed rationally related to a legitimate governmental objective. So yeah, that's pretty loose right there. So going back to that first one, strict scrutiny is what Thomas said that has to be applied to the Second Amendment, because it is a constitutional right. He also, if I correct here, he also wrote that no other right requires permission to exercise it. So
yeah, he expressly compared it to the Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial, that you already brought up, to confront your accusers.
Mm-hmm.
The First Amendment to speak whatever's on your mind.
Yes.
And there was another one that I can't remember
practice
right now.
Religion.
Practice religion. Yeah.
He said that if you had to show just cause to practice the religion of your choosing, that and he's right, everybody would be up in arms immediately over that.
Yeah. And he also expressly stated the Second Amendment inherently protects one's ability to carry a weapon outside their home for their defense.
Right. Or for
And
any reason, ultimately,
yeah.
because
And
it comes down to I don't need to have a reason to carry this thing. It's my right to do so, whether it's for defense or just to show it off or just because I can. That's all the reason I need is because I can, because it's a right. And I don't need to explain myself or get permission from anybody to exercise a right. That's what a right means.
Right. And multiple times, this is an interesting part of it too, he cited the Federalist Papers multiple times in his decision.
Nice. All right. So we've talked about that, and we can talk about things generically again. We do have a couple questions coming in.
Yeah, I was going to say about
here.
the one from Jamie Brown.
Yeah. Well, first of all, we've got Glenn Otis out there who we have not seen before, I don't think. So watching from Colorado. What's up, Glenn? Glad you're along for the ride. Hope to see you most Thursday nights moving forward. Most of the time, we do this at 8 o'clock Central, which is 7 in Colorado, not 7:30. But again, we had to push it back tonight, and here we are. So Woods says make 1984 fiction again. Yes, please. Gosh, who would have thought 5 years ago that we'd be comparing real happenings to that? Although we should have thought that day would come. I mean, if you read Animal Farm and then you watched the fall of the Soviet Union, that pretty much played out exactly how Orwell wrote it. So if you read 1984 and you thought that that was never going to happen, then you probably should have been a little more worldly anyway.
Well, even Animal Farm, all animals are created equal, but some animals are created more equal. Look at the political system right now and the way the politicians treat themselves compared to us, where they're allowed to have armed defense and we're not.
Yeah, well, the just cause thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just cause. Because if I don't think that you need it, and that's what it comes down to, is somebody else wants to make my decisions for me. They decide whether or not I need it. Well, I don't need it. And that's what it comes down to. But too many people don't understand that. And that's exactly what it comes down to. We can go back to that concept here in a little bit. First, Jamie Brown wants to know, what do I think it will do for constitutional carry passing in Nebraska and other states? Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, this isn't going to do anything. This wasn't about constitutional carry.
Just because it doesn't address constitutional carry or permitless carry. It doesn't address whether or not a permit should be required to exercise this right. I wish it did, but it didn't go there. But what it did do is say that you can't deny somebody a permit because you don't think they need it when it's a constitutional right. So I wish it would have gone further, but that's not what the case was about to begin with. And so they do have to rule on the case at hand, not rule on all this other stuff, which is what the dissent went to. The dissent just went to throw a whole bunch of word salad out, it sounded like, about suicides and everything else. And it was Alito that came back and wrote about the dissent and said, why would you bring this stuff up when it doesn't even apply to the case at hand? This case is about whether or not somebody can carry their firearm outside their home. If we're talking about suicides, how many people commit suicide outside their home to begin with? So what good would ruling on this and the other way have made to stop that? It wouldn't.
Yeah. No, if you think that's bad, if you look at the actual case that was brought by New York, they tried going all the way back to 14th century England.
Yeah.
And citing the Northumberland Accord or I can't remember the terminology. Thomas shot that down so hard it was unreal.
Yeah, you got to get up pretty early in the morning to get one past Justice Thomas. And by the way, happy birthday, Justice Thomas. Great birthday present that we all got for your birthday. Patrick's out there. Epic ruling today. They removed reason from a legal act. Yes, love that. Yeah, DJ just said what you just said. All animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. Yeah, so equal is like, you keep using that word. I do not think it means what you think it means. What else do we have out there going on in the comments? Nothing yet. Get those comments out there or questions. Ask us anything. We may not answer it, but you can ask us. And if it's a dumb question, we'll try and come up with a dumb answer. If it's a smart question, I'm still pretty good for a dumb answer. So we'll see what we get. We'll go from there. Ask us for life advice. We've got lots of tips for grumpy old men on the panel tonight. We can give you, I tell you what, you ask us any question, bring us any problem. The four of us can solve that problem. You may not like what we come up with, but I guarantee we're going to have a solution for you. So let's see what you got out there, guys.
Or we'll make up something funny.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, that's what we're good at.
Or at least we think's funny. Get down, Scott.
I think I'm hilarious, and that's enough. All right. What else has been going on? You guys here in the panel, what's happening? What do you guys want to talk about? Anything you want to bring up or ask?
Yeah, I'll bring up a little topic. The stuff that they're trying to run through with the 14 squishy Republicans that's trying to contradict what's going on with the Supreme Court ruling, especially with the red flag law attached to it as state by state case if they want to implement it.
Well, it's going to give them federal funding. If they do, then they get some of this federal money is what it's going to do.
Exactly.
So, okay, but back to your point about the 14 Republicans. I've thought about whether or not we can get a whole night's chat out of this. I don't know if we can, but I want to address that part. And for all of you out there, listen up here. When it comes to Republican, Democrat, okay, think about this concept. Screw Republican, screw Democrat, screw Libertarian, screw Independent, screw all of it. It doesn't matter. People care about what they care about. If you belong to a party and you think that somebody should fall in line and do everything the party says, then you're already in the wrong party. And people in the Republican side are just as guilty of this crap as people on the Democrat side. If you've got somebody who you want to send into public office who's going to vote the way that they think things need to be, regardless of what their party says, isn't that what we want in our candidates? Now, you want to find a candidate who agrees with you on such topics, so they're going to vote their conscience the same way that your conscience would be. But don't be going down on somebody just because they're a Republican if you think that that really has any bearing whatsoever on anything except for being in a club and trying to raise campaign funds and get votes and the quid pro quo that it takes to get a bill passed, because you got to get supporters for your bill. Well, you got to support theirs in order for them to support yours. It's ugly, it's messy, but that's how legislation works. But honestly, if you think it has anything to do with the R or the D behind their name, it doesn't. Not anymore. The lines are getting so blurred because people are starting to listen to the general public. And these Republicans who are siding this way are listening to a couple different things. First of all, they've probably always been this way because over half of them are either retiring or they're not up for re-election. And so they're not too worried about it. But second of all, they've always been this way. They don't have anything to lose, and they don't want to get painted with the brush that says they don't care enough to do anything. So they're doing something, and that's how legislation works. It's the truest form of compromise. And what's a compromise? It's when two parties both walk away from an agreement, neither one of them getting what they wanted. That's what compromise means. And so we always think compromise means we have to give something up because we can't get everything we want. Well, it should be both sides giving something up. And I don't like compromising. I think that win-win would be better if both sides get what they want, but we don't seem to ever be able to make that happen. But the fact that they're Republicans, screw all that. None of that matters anymore. Does anybody not see that? It's not important anymore what party those people are part of, because they're all in the same clubs anyway. So what matters is their voting record and the things that they do. not the letter behind their name or any of that stuff. So start looking at people's voting records. And if they're a Democrat, but their voting record mirrors what you would like to see a candidate do, then support that person. If they're a Republican and their voting record doesn't, then don't support them just because they're a Republican. That's crap. And that's what's put us where we are today. So
Exactly.
I'll
Thank
get
you
off
for
my soapbox. I don't think we could have got a whole night out of that, but am I completely off base here? What do you guys think? Feel free to review.
No, I got a Democrat senator and a Republican senator, and they're both supporting this crap. And the president of the state house said if it wasn't for the 17th Amendment, both of them would be recalled right now as we speak.
Well, let's be real. As far as a Republican and Democrat, a lot of them would just jump parties if they thought they had a better chance to get elected. So,
oh yeah,
I don't know. I mean, me, for example, I was born and raised in a Democrat family, and until a few years ago, I was registered as a Democrat because I believed the BS definitions they give you of what the parties stand for when you're in high school. Because they always teach you the Democrats are supposed to be for the little guy, and the Republicans are supposed to be for the rich guy. So that's why I registered the way I did. And then I figured out that wasn't the case. So
yeah, they all want to be the rich guy.
Well, if you look at the majority of billionaires in the United States, most of them would have a D after their name. So they're the party of the little guy.
Yeah, and it's funny how that is true, along with the fact that most of the time when people complain about how it's not fair that there's such a thing as billionaires out there, those usually tend to be Democrats too.
Yeah.
Who are
I don't know for sure
by Democrats in their campaigns.
I don't know for sure they're still teaching that way in school, but when I'm old enough in school, they said that, to explain it, to kind of downsplain it to kids, it was Republicans are for big business and for people with money, and the Democrats are for smaller business and the working man. So a lot of people registered because of those the way they did because of those definitions that they were given.
Yeah. Yes. Two of the biggest businessmen in the United States right now are Warren Buffett and Jeff Bezos. I'm going to take a guess who they give all their money to.
Don't really have to.
Is that a rhetorical question, Rich?
Yeah, basically.
PJ's got a good comment. I'm going to do this real quick. Post the Senate contact. Well, I'm going to do the Capitol switchboard. You can get contact info for your senators and your representatives from this.
Yeah, if you can't find it there, all you got to do is a quick Google search, and it'll bring up your senator's personal website that they have to have as a member of U.S. Congress.
So let's get that out there in the comments, and then we'll put it up on the screen here. U.S. Capitol switchboard number, for those of you who want that number, 202-224-3121. And yeah, you can call that number and ask for your state senators. Just tell them what state you live in, and they will tell you who the senators are and hook you up to those numbers. And if you give them the address, I believe they can even tell you who your representative is. In Nebraska, it's easy. There's only 3 of them. And if you don't live in Omaha, there's only 2 of them. But we do have a special election coming up for one of them next Tuesday. So, and you're in District 1 as well, right, Defense Dad?
Yep.
So that's gonna affect your representative too, mine and yours, in Washington, because Fortenberry is stepping down. He's got some stuff that he's dealing with some other indictment BS that he's just leaving, and so my current state senator is running for that spot, along with one of the other Democrat state senators running against him. So hopefully District 1 does a good turnout in the polls on Tuesday. And I tell you what, the little bit that I've interacted with Mike Flood, he lives right here in my town. If you're in Nebraska and you know what News Channel Nebraska is, he owns that along with a few radio stations. He's been a broadcaster for a long, long time. I think he's going to do a great job. And the other person who wants that spot is Senator Pansing Brooks out of Lincoln. And she is, if you if you like the fact that you can own guns and you don't want anybody messing with your rights or taking them away, do not send her to Washington. Mike
No.
Flood will fight for your rights as a gun owner. Patty Pansing Brooks will fight to take your stuff away from you, because she's another one who doesn't think that you need all this stuff and thinks that matters. And she's a lawyer, so she should know better. And I think she does. But she still thinks that she knows. She thinks she does know better. She thinks she knows better than you. And she thinks that she can make better decisions for you than you can for your own good. And she should have that kind of decision-making power in Washington. I just really hope that Mike Flood gets that spot. So make sure, Nebraskans, District 1, that you're turning out Tuesday the 28th to go vote. So, all right.
Yeah. Here, we're losing one of our congressional seats. But the good news is the congressman we had when we lived at my wife's grandmother's old house, who was staunchly Second Amendment supporter, won the primary over our former congressman, who's going to be our former congressman, who's our congressman right now, who's one of the wishy-washy kind of guys. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens come the general election when he has to go against whichever Democrat won their primary, which, by the way, Democrat turnout in the district wasn't big for the primaries. It's not looking good for that person who is not a 2A supporter, which is hard to find. It's hard in West Virginia to find a Democrat that isn't at some level a 2A supporter.
Which is good. That's the way it should be. I mean, it doesn't matter what party you belong to. Everybody benefits from the right to keep and bear arms. And we all know that. I mean, an armed society is a polite society. If we all walk around armed, everybody is safer for it, not in more danger, but in less danger, because arguments are less likely to pop off because of the fact that we know everyone's armed, or at least they could be.
Yeah,
so you're right.
Yeah, when you look at that, if you go back to, was it 2015, I think it was, where they actually were doing the argumentation and whatnot for the constitutional carry in the state, it passed almost unanimously.
Good. Yeah, that's the way it should be. Because those lawmakers understand what their constituents want. And it doesn't matter necessarily what they want. That's only part of the equation, but they're there to represent, not to make all the calls themselves. They need to understand that votes put them there and votes keep them there, so they better do what the people want. And that's the only thing that we should ever explain to our Congress critters and our senators, is that votes put you there, votes can remove you. If you want votes, then you need to do what the people want. But they don't know what that is if you won't get off your butt and call them, email them, write them a letter, put a stamp on it, send that, whatever it is now, 55 cents or whatever it costs to mail that letter off. Somebody has to open that envelope and read that and log it in. That stuff gets noticed. So flood them with your requests to not deal away your rights to own firearms. Flood them. Just bombard them, all of you, and then get everybody you know to do it too, because that is what's making a difference. That's why some of these senators are starting to waffle when they're trying to get that proposal together. That's what's making a difference on all this.
Yeah, remember, you don't just have to call. There's a thing called email. Use it as well.
And you can use all of those things, and you can do them again tomorrow and the next day after that if you want to. And they have to read those, and they have to listen to that call, and they have to read that letter that you mailed them, or that email that you sent them.
Yeah, because trust me, if there's enough emails going one way, trust me, they've got to stand up and take at least a look at it.
Oh, they have to look at every one of them that comes through. It has to get logged in.
And exactly, and that's why if you keep sending this stuff in, and as long as everybody's doing their part,
yeah. Now, keep in mind,
it's an overwhelming majority.
It is usually an aide who is logging this stuff in, but when they get a ton of these, they will let their boss know that this is happening. It's in their best interest to keep the boss informed of what the people are saying. So make sure that you are saying it, people. Remember that the way that this works, the government draws its just powers from the consent of the governed, does it not? So we need to let them know that the governed do not consent.
I mean, if depending on how close you live to their local office, you can even send them snail mail, and their aides still have to log it.
Doesn't matter where you live. Mail goes from one end of this
I'm
country to the other.
talking about because we don't know how soon they're going to vote on it and how long it might take for the mail to get there.
You still need to do that.
Yeah.
If you don't have, well, if you're listening to this, you probably have email. But if you know somebody who doesn't do electronics, doesn't do email, get them the phone number for the Capitol switchboard. Get them, look up the address. Use your electronics to find the address. They can stamp a letter and mail it off.
Right.
Yes, it's expensive, but it does get results. And I tell you what, those handwritten or even typed out and then signed by hand letters, those actually carry the most weight of anything people do because so few people do it. When you take the time to write out a letter, type it out, whatever it is, sign that, put it in an envelope, address it, stamp it, drop it in the mailbox, they take note of how many people are doing that because that really means that people care because that's the hardest thing of all of those to do. If you live close enough to the office, go, if there's somebody in there, just stop in. Yeah, stop in. Just remember, no matter what you do, phone call, email, physical letter, or visit in person, be respectful. Just explain where you're coming from. You can be passionate, just don't be rude because you will shut them down. They will not care what you have to say, and it doesn't matter. It's not about being right. It's about being convincing. You cannot convince somebody if you've insulted them, they've shut down. So remember that. You do have to put your hat in your hand. You might have to eat a little crow. That's how this process works. You're the same way when you want somebody or when somebody wants you to do something. You don't do anything for somebody that comes up and insults you and then tells you what you need to do. You don't like that either. So don't treat them the way that you don't want to be treated. We've got a lot of cool questions out here that I wanted to get to before we wrap up here. Michael Frost wants to know who among us believes Bigfoot is real and what caliber would you choose to hunt one? So everybody get a chance to talk on this. Personally, I think that that Bigfoot is, if that's the case, then yeah, he very much is the hide and seek champion of the world. If he was real, then there'd be better than just some grainy photographs of it by now.
Well,
So
all the Bigfoots got smart and they shaved. I mean, and there's one that uses YouTube. The Yankee Marshal.
that's true. Well, Bigfoot lives at his house, I think. That's what's happening is he actually lives in Yankee's basement.
Well, Yankee is so vehemently opposed to people hunting Bigfoots because he is one.
Well, he's not one. He's not big enough. But he knows Bigfoot, and I think
Well, he's a midget.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a midget Bigfoot.
Maybe now, has anybody ever seen? Does he have more than one leg? Maybe he's a duffel pud. And if you don't know what a duffel pud is, you really need to read some C.S. Lewis. Go check that out. I'm not even going to explain it here. Speaking of nerd stuff, yeah, go read the Chronicles of Narnia, and then come back to me when you know what a duffel pud is. But I think Yankee might be one.
But my actual personal theory on Yankee is that he's the Mothman. He's from Point Pleasant, West Virginia originally, and after he left, there were no more Mothman sightings.
That could be it. That would explain a lot, actually. Okay, Jamie Brown has a dumb question. I don't think it's dumb. What's everybody's favorite fish to eat? We didn't talk about hunting. I don't want to hunt Bigfoot. If there is one, they're so endangered that we don't need to be shooting them. So if you're going to hunt one, you better do it with like a Nikon 35 millimeter, something like that. So what's everybody's favorite fish to eat that they catch locally to them? Around here, my favorite one to eat is going to be probably walleye.
If it's prepared right, catfish. Love catfish.
Yeah, but I tell you what, I would drive back to Hallam and have that walleye again. And I didn't even get the walleye that night, but my wife did, and I had some of hers because she couldn't finish it all. And my gosh, that's the best walleye I've ever had in a restaurant anywhere.
Yeah, Dorothy told me about that. I thought about it, but then I got chicken fried steak.
Well, normally you get a slab of walleye, and it's like the size of a piece of bass, and this thing was huge. That was a big old
Huge.
chunk of walleye.
But if you prepare the catfish right, and don't get fancy with it, just soak it in some salt water, get the mud and stuff out of it. Flour, egg, and cornmeal in a light pan fry. That's all you need.
Oh yeah, my neighbor across the street he lives for catfish, and all summer long he's out all night, a whole bunch of nights out of the week. And then the other day I got home from work and I got out of the car and he was out in the yard, so he called me over to show me the fish that he had just caught the night before, and his little catfish was what was his little one, 8 pounds or something like that. I mean, these are good sized fish.
You want a good catfish. Northeastern channel cat. They are not a bottom dwelling catfish. They are a predatory catfish that swims around all over the place. They don't sit in one spot.
Yeah.
They are extremely clean and old. They have a nice meat on them.
Well, the flatheads are the ones around here that everybody likes.
Yeah, there's a place between here and Omaha that they do a roasted catfish. That's really good.
Now I'm getting hungry. I haven't had supper yet, y'all. So thank Jamie for that.
Yeah. Definitely either a channel cat or a blue cat out of the river that I live nearby. And here's the secret to cleaning them out if you have this available to you. Throw them in a stock tank for at least 3 days.
Yeah.
And let them clean out. You can take them straight out of there and right off the bone. It's perfect.
Yeah.
After it's just it's nice and clean, and yeah, a good cat or a good largemouth bass out of a pond. Those are definitely my two picks. Right
you
there.
brought up the bass. We used to fish for the channel cat the same way we fish for largemouth bass. They would hit the same baits.
The biggest catfish I ever caught was when I was bass or even panfish fishing, but I had a chatterbait on. And yeah, that was a good sized catfish that hit that sucker too.
Oh, I used to catch the best ones on cheese and blood.
Yeah, channel cats aren't real big. They're real sleek fish.
Yeah.
They're built similar to a bass, only more narrow height wise, from the top fin to the bottom dorsal fins. But the meat on them is so good. You fillet them like you would a walleye.
Yep.
There's only one bad thing about fishing for catfish. And that's when you think you got a nice catfish and you reel in this stupid little bullhead.
Now, bullheads can be good eating too if you know what you're doing with them.
I know, but man, those things are tough little suckers. You think you got a decent sized cat, you reel in like a pound and a half, 2 pound bullhead. Like, damn it.
Yeah. They put up a good fight.
They're fun.
His favorites, trout. Fly fishing is the absolute pinnacle of the art, and fish properly prepared, and the fish properly prepared are without equal. I've never had trout that I know of, but yeah, I'm sure not opposed. My absolute favorite fish to eat of all time is nothing locally caught, but when I go to Jamaica and we're down there in the grill, that snapper that they have for all kinds of different dishes. I mean, I know snapper is not a super luxurious fish. It's a really common thing, but it's just so good. It's hard to beat.
See, and we grill a lot of salmon around here. It's not caught locally, but that's my favorite fish.
Sure.
Cook it on the grill, just real simple.
So Wood says Bigfoot. Did you mean to say 45-70, or do you actually have a 47?
45, 47, whatever it takes.
Yeah, well, and maybe that's just it. The Bigfoot needs a little bit bigger gun, so it's a 47-70.
Well, wouldn't Bigfoot? He's a biped. He technically could be a distant relative of us. So we really want to hunt him?
Well, no, and again, there's so few of them. Although, okay, now here's the thing: if you ever Bigfoot could very well be that missing link that we've always heard about and nobody's ever found fossils of. But if you ever think that there may be such a thing as a Bigfoot or a missing link or something like that, and then you go to the county fair, you're going to see somebody there that kind of supports that theory. Just throwing that out there. So Bigfoot may have just learned how to put on a tank top and a MAGA hat and is eating a corn dog and a funnel cake down at the county fair right now. We'd never know the difference.
Well, let's define Bigfoot. My son wears a size 16 shoe.
No, that's big feet.
Okay.
That's big feet. So no, we're talking about Bigfoot.
There was a Tom and Jerry cartoon that came out. It was one of the later ones, like in the 70s or 80s, where Tom and Jerry were out looking for Bigfoot, and they found this little guy that just had big feet, and he was super hairy.
Yeah. Yeah, kind of like a duffel pud, but with hair.
Yeah, and the guy was all upset and everything because everybody kept calling him Bigfoot, and he's like, "I'm not that big."
Jamie said he got a couple flatheads last week, and they were tasty. Knives is here. Knives came in like a wrecking ball. So
Nice.
which didn't really happen. I mean, that was just his first comment, so can't really say it's like a wrecking ball.
So is it like a Thunderball?
What? Not Thunderball? What?
Yeah. So, but is it like a Did he come in like Thunderball?
Um,
Jones.
Thank you, James Bond.
yeah, like George, Sean Connery. You think? Or
Yeah. No, that was one of Connery's. Yeah.
so yeah, maybe I don't know. G23 says Bigfoot is heavily armed. I don't know. I mean, he's got big feet, but are his arms heavy too?
Probably he's really tall. I mean,
Well,
the
that doesn't mean anything.
pictures-
He could have like little skinny, like
Man,
little
you
orangutan arms or something.
ever see the artist sketches on them? You know, the look at the size of their Bigfoot is jacked.
Those artist sketches are from the same dude that used to draw the pictures in the dime store novels. So they made Paul Bunyan and Pecos Bill and all those guys look pretty big too.
Well, I'll put it this way: I'm definitely not gonna hunt him if he's like Harry and the Hendersons.
Let's keep in mind, if he's an ape, he could be scrawny and still tear our arms off.
That's true.
That's true. Chimpanzees and don't.
Yeah. So there's a little tiny town about an hour away from where I live up here that used to have a zoo with the chimpanzee in it, and he escaped one day, and they ended up having to put him down. And then after, it was weird. Apparently after that there was like a barbecue, and that was the joke going around is the chimp's name was Reuben, and the joke was that they were serving Reuben sandwiches at that barbecue. So pretty sure they didn't actually cook chimpanzee, but yep, Royal Zoo. You can look that, it's gone now, but you can look up Royal Nebraska Zoo and read about Reuben. I saw him when I was a kid. He was kind of cool. I don't know. He was big. When you see a chimpanzee on TV like Michael Jackson used to have, I mean, that's when they're babies, but they get big. They're not as big as a gorilla, but they're big, and they're about 5 times as strong as an adult male.
Yeah, speaking of gorillas, my wife and I, when we went up for her doctor's appointment a couple weeks ago to Pittsburgh, we were at the zoo. We went to the zoo before her doctor's appointment, and there was a big old silverback. And thank God there was a ditch and a fence between me and it, because it was just giving me the most horrible look. I'm like, that thing is going to kill me if it gets out of there. I don't know what I did, but it did not like the looks of me for some reason.
It's a terrible thing to say about gorillas and guns. Jeez, that was rude.
yeah.
Oh, seriously, man. That
haven't seen
gorilla
him
was
put a
giving
video
me
in a
the
while.
stink eye.
Well, I tell you what, it's 9:40, and I don't see a whole bunch of other comments or questions coming in, so I think we're just going to kind of wrap things up. Okay, so is that true?
Yes, it is.
That's
That's
so
absolutely
badass.
true.
That is so cool. Kind of want to know more about that now.
They were talking about it on Steven Crowder's show yesterday morning.
I have so many questions. Oh, man.
It had a tactical vest and a diaper.
And a what?
Diaper.
Diaper.
Well, of course, the
It
diaper.
was wearing
that
a
makes
diaper, a tactical vest, and there was something else that it had. And according to the cartel members, he was a full-fledged member when they were questioned.
sense. Wow. That's so. So if that had been like a motorcycle gang, then he'd have had an actual motorcycle vest.
Yeah. I don't know if I ever told you this story or not, but one night during Gary's show, my wife would leave, like, it was one of those alternate TV channels, like you get on the digital antennas, but cable lately has been putting those on too. And the one channel has like old Carson episodes. And this one was from like the 1970s, and there was this guy on there who was training gorillas in judo. It's like, you want to take something that can already tear us in half and teach them martial arts?
That's kind of like what's that? Was that the Rise of the Planet of the Apes movie where the chimp comes up and the guards are laughing at him playing with their M4 until he blows them away with it?
Mm. Well,
It was one of those movies, one of those remakes, the recent ones, with Caesar, the chimpanzee Caesar that James Franco trained. One of those. I think it was the one that came after James Franco.
Wahlberg?
No. That was a remake of the Charlton Heston one, and this is kind of like a whole different reboot. But James Franco was working with this chimp named Caesar, and he was super smart. And then at the end of that movie, he took off and went out to the trees.
Franco had like the Ricardo Montalban role from the original trilogy, right?
I've seen it. I just don't remember Franco being in it.
So that was like was that the Rise of the Planet of the Apes? I don't remember which ones are what the names of them all now, but it was like the second one. So anyway, that's the one where the apes are all organizing to come and attack the humans. And yeah, they send this little dude in, his little chimpanzee guy, and he just kind of wobbles up to the guards, and they're just laughing at him and stuff, and they don't know that he's super smart, and he just completely disarms them, making funny stuff, and they're laughing at him and stuff, and he picks up one of their M4s, and they're like, "Oh, what are you gonna do with that?" And whatever, and then he ends up shooting them. Takes out the sentries.
I don't know if you've ever seen the video, but there is a video on YouTube where a bunch of the forest ranger people over in Africa handed a chimpanzee one of the little short AKs, and the chimpanzee just starts shooting the AK all over the place.
Well, sure.
And they're just standing there laughing their butts off. I'm like, we were talking about that. I think it was on Sunday's show. And Kingpin brought it up. I was like, those guys were on something. They had to have been on something.
They're on cot.
Oh my god! I mean, they're just standing there, just laughing their asses off at the chimpanzee. They could have been shot at any given moment.
Right. Whew, all right. Well, hi, dudes, giving a chimpanzee an AK. I think on that note, we'll go ahead and wrap it up for the night and call it a night. I'm going to go find some food. So you guys have anything you want to say that you haven't got a chance to say? Any final thoughts on any of this stuff? We'll give you a chance, and then you can say where people can find you. So, Rich, we'll start with you. Any closing thoughts, and where can people find you?
Closing thoughts. If you live in one of those states we mentioned earlier that don't allow carry permits for whatever reason, tomorrow, next day, whenever, go and see what happens. If they deny you, you got a court case.
Go apply, and if you're denied, call Alan Gottlieb and tell him.
And God, I was going to say there's another really good lawyer for that too, and I can't remember his name right now. But
well, there's several great lawyers out there, but Alan Gottlieb would be one of the first ones, and Firearms Policy Coalition would take that one right up to in a heartbeat.
Mm-hmm.
And so would Eric Pratt with Gun Owners of America.
Yeah, for the life of me, I can't. This guy's been on Rakita Law's channel before, especially during the Rittenhouse thing. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, he seems really, really good too.
Yeah, he's one of the top firearms lawyers as well, and I can't remember his name right now. Oh well, but anyway, as far as where you can find me, you can Unloaded Media channel for certain, and Instagram under Unloaded Media with _ and then my name after it. And then I should also be having a video come out tomorrow on the Core Essentials belt, hopefully. It's been I wanted to get it done earlier in the week, but it's been so hectic I haven't had a chance to do it yet. But hopefully I'll be able to get that done.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for hanging out with us and joining us tonight and adding to the conversation. Pat, we'll give you a chance. Closing thoughts, and where can people find more of you?
Well, actually, there's two places now you can find me at, and yes, that was me, John.
Just checking. You know I had to.
Yep, you got to cover your basis on that. You can find me now on Facebook, that I finally collapsed and joined, at Pat Hirsch, and on YouTube at Pat in a Bunker. And hopefully by the end of this week, I've got some more video coming out from Thunder on the Prairie here shortly at the end of the week. And I've got a couple reviews to do. Thank you to Travis and Defense Dad for turning me on to these guys. Mead Industries ordered some different ammo from them and doing a review on some of their ammo, and from Pride Fend for their rifle rests and stuff. So yeah, got a lot of content coming out here just shortly. So yeah, you can find those two places. And thanks for having me on as always, John. It's been awesome.
You bet.
Yeah, did you get some of their FMJ they had on sale?
Yes, I did, sir.
Yeah, that was a good deal.
Yeah, it was. It was.
Last
Well,
time I looked, he had some of the was it frangible stuff too, 9mm.
Yeah, but he had some FMJ. It was a 300 for like $89.99 or something like that.
That's exactly what I got. It's the well, a little spoiler alert. I'll put this out there. It was their steel cased, but it was plated, hollow point.
Oh wow.
That's what I got.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. And
Yeah.
speaking of ammo, I'm working on maybe coming up with something, talking to Greg Mead about this too. And the Gun Food is not one of our sponsors, but we do have a discount code. So if you go to thegunfood.com and you can find food for your gun there, and it just kind of varies. Check back often to see what Patrick has on hand, because he doesn't have huge amounts of the same thing always coming in. He's always got something, but it kind of varies what he can get his hands on, and then pass it back along to you. But if you use the discount code Sandhills, then you get 5.56% off of your order. So go check that out as well for ammo. All right, Pat, thanks for being along with us. Defense Dad, you can back clean up again. Closing thoughts. Where can people find you?
Fun show tonight. If you can find me on YouTube, I haven't done a video in about a month. I need to get going on it. I've just been busy. I haven't put a video out since before Thunder on the Prairie. So got plenty of stuff I need to review, but other things keep popping up. That's about it.
It happens. All right. Yeah, I've been busy too, between my full-time job and my other job and my other job, and then screwing around on the internet with my friends. Yeah, the week doesn't have enough hours in it anymore. But yeah, we're keeping busy with dances, and then I am getting busier with instructing all the time. My women's handgun and self-defense fundamentals class has been amazing. We've got the same group of ladies have taken the first two parts of it, and I think they're all going to take part 3 as well. It's coming up here in July. And then we do have a concealed carry class coming up in August. So if you're in Northeast Nebraska and you want to come and take the concealed carry class, you can do that. August 13th is when the class will be. We'll go out and do the shooting qualification on August 14th. Classes here in Norfolk. The shooting's over at Neely. And if you're in the area and you want to get signed up, just go to sandhillsdefense.com and click the link about signing up for a class. Find the concealed carry class from the next page. I know it's a little involved, but until I get time to sit down and streamline how to put the direct links on my website, it's the way it's going to be. But you can get there. You can also go find Sandhills Defense on Facebook. Please like and follow that page. And the event is up. You can get to the ticketing link through that event on Facebook as well. So if you want to take it, or you know somebody that does and they're close to Norfolk, close enough to come over here and take class, go do it. Go sign up for that August 13th. And then if you are someone you know is a woman who wants to learn the basics, and this is for even somebody who's never shot a gun and wants to learn how to do it. the all the ladies in this class have at least pulled the trigger before, even if they don't have a lot of experience. I have yet to get somebody who they've never fired their first shot. I would be so honored to teach somebody and be there when they fire their first round down range out of a firearm. But in the meantime, we'll probably start this women's class up again. Probably keep the same format where it's a 3-part course. We'll probably do each part over the course of 1 month, and then it's hard with life happening to try to find a day that works for everybody, me included, to go do the live fire. So we kind of work on setting that up after the fact with people as our days and our times allow. So we'll probably do one in August, one in September, one in October if the weather holds. And if the weather's good, then maybe one more October CHP class towards the end of the month. We'll see what happens there. So anyway, go check that out, sandhillsdefense.com. Can't wait to help. Can't wait to grow the business. I don't get to help it. I get to do it. It's my business. So can't wait for that to grow and keep us busier. Of course, winter will shut us down. We don't have indoor ranges up here, so that sucks. We can do a lot of the classroom stuff, but none of the live fire parts. It's hard to teach somebody how to correctly load a magazine and shoot a gun when they can't feel their fingers. So don't want to do that. All right, with that, we're going to call it a night. Thanks again to John Petrolino and Decoding Firearms for helping us go live to multiple places on the old interwebs there, 2 different Facebook pages and the YouTube page. So go check that out. Get the book. I need to take that book to my next class and show that off to the ladies too. They can go pick their own copy up if they want to. They're on Amazon. So go to johnpetrolino.com and let's put that back up on the screen. There you go. So you can find the website, and that will take you straight into the Amazon order page, or you can just go to Amazon and search Decoding Firearms, and it's the one with the green matrix looking code on the back there. So all right, with that, we're going to call it a night on behalf of Sandhills Sweetheart, who couldn't be in here with us, so we don't have a list. She's out there getting stuff ready for tomorrow at work. Beautiful night sky, Pat. Beautiful night sky. And also on behalf of Rich and Pat and Defense Dad and myself, have a great night. We'll see you next week. To the best of my knowledge, regular time, 8 o'clock Central, which it's the only time zone that matters. The rest of you can do the math. But that would be 9 Eastern, 7 Mountain, 6 Pacific. If you're not in the country, then you're going to have to do your own math. So it's 8 o'clock Central Time, Thursday night. Catch us here live. Bring those comments, bring those questions, light it up in the live chat, and we'll see you next time. But for now,